Pisano from the Artifice group, donc tous les Arts Trompeurs depuis le début, so co-founding members of les Arts Trompeurs, Martin La Liberté et Sylvain Sanson from Paris Est, Marne-la-Vallée, and we happen to be also co-contributors to this book. Alors, ce livre, Martin va présenter le livre tout à l'heure. C'est le dernier livre de notre groupe de recherche, le plus récent, c'est-à-dire qui est produit auprès de l'Université de Montréal et qui s'inscrit dans une filiation, dans une histoire. So it's part of an evolution que je voudrais en 2 minutes rappeler ici pour expliquer. And Clemens is here too. I want to have you both get close here. We celebrate the 20th anniversary of Théâtre, and that's the reason why ISIS is here. This was the argument to have motivation to have ISIS out of Europe 2 years ago in youth. So when Marcello and us we submitted the proposal to hold the meeting here, was the reason why it was easily accepted, I would say. And but there's another anniversary that Gilles mentioned already. It's the 10th anniversary. It's hard to say that we're discovering that there is a Montreal School of Intermediality. I mean, this is a big outcome of this conference. We did not realize it, so thanks to tell us. And so I think part of the history of this Montreal School is what happened also in 2007, when we hold the first major, I think I can say that, you can correct me, the first major international conference on theater and intermediality and writing. And this was done in partnership, very close partnership. It was successful, I think we can say that. It was big, maybe we had 125 or 40 or 30 speakers from maybe 30 countries. And it was successful for many reasons, but the main one, I would say, is it was a very close partnership between us, the CRIAC, and the intermediality working group of the IFTR, International Federation for Theater Research. And we merged, we worked together. I think it had a real impact on the theater studies. It was the opening with the book published the same year, I think, 2006. Yeah, 2006, there was the book on theater and performance intermediality. I'm not too sure of the title. Edited by Gilles and what's her name? Freda Chapel. Yeah, Freda Chapel. And I think the year after or so, we had this big meeting here. And so it was 10 years ago. And at this meeting, I'll take 2 minutes, but I think it's important to say that. At this meeting, for the first time, and this is a real impact of intermediate approach to theater, for the first time we had about 12 speakers, 12 papers dedicated, focusing on sound in theater. And we suddenly, because there have always been papers on sound in theater, but 1 or 2, each conference. But now it was massive. And it's really the consequence of the intermediate approach. If, as Gilles wrote back in 2006, theater is a hypermedium, which means a medium of media. If you consider theater that way, the importance of sound in theater and sound devices in theater is just obvious. And what is also obvious is that we don't speak of it. So what makes it obvious is the absence of the theater studies. So the 12 people working on we delivered a paper on that topic, and I was part of them. We decided to simply write, that simple, naive, to write the history of sound, of theater sound. And this was the two conveners of this group were Marie-Madeleine Mervard from CNRS in Paris and myself. But Giusy Pisano was founding member of this group. And this group, I think, I have to say modestly, it really had an impact. We were very active from, it still works, but we were very active from 2008 to 2012 and 2013. And so I think I don't know how many issues or even books we published, but there is this one here, which is, I think, our main important book, the Leçons du Théâtre, which it's supposed to be in English in 2 years from now. And this is like the synthesis of our work. Jonathan Stern is in that, so I think it's an important book. And while we were working on this group on theater sound, history of theater sound, Giusy and Marie-Madeleine discovered, and this happened once in a life. They discovered archives at la Bibliothèque historique de la ville de Paris, historical library in Paris. And this happens really once in a life of a researcher. These archives belong to la régie, l'association de la régie théâtrale, which was founded somewhere in the early 19th century, and which gathered régisseurs, directors, owners of theater, producers of, and the ideas they had was to sell what we would call today the mise en scène, just to sell it. So they had a show going on in Paris, and after the show closed in Paris, it was on sale, and they make money this way. So touring companies and resident companies outside Paris could buy the show, and so it was very. And this is the archives. This is what they did. It's really the making of, but also the running of the show, of the performance. Imagine for people working on the history of theater. And these archives were l'Association de la Régie théâtrale wanted first to give these archives to la Bibliothèque nationale de France, which simply refused, because the Bibliothèque nationale de France saw no interest in this document. And because of France, this kind of relations, finally, the Bibliothèque historique de Paris took the collection, and it's out of its mandate, and they didn't know what to do with it. The only thing we saw at the beginning was just a list and writing list of the content. But when we now it's online. But when we saw the first relevé de mise en scène, it's as I said, the making of and the running of the show. We had all the information regarding, of course, the use of all the technologies, lighting, but also sound and image reproduction technologies, with the exact way they used it, when and where, and what conditions, and so on, with acting and so on. And so this is why we from the theater sound group, international group, we derived from this big group, the next one, which is the I don't remember even the name we had. One of the relevé de mise en scène. So on this, and we were very active too. I missed one book, but we wrote. To tell you, we had two books called Les Archives de la mise en scène. We had, I think it's 2015, 2016. We have two books like this, and we had one on la régie théâtrale, and now we and this group became we enlarged the scope, because when we went through the relevé de mise en scène, of course, we realized that there was much more information than only sound in this relevé de mise en scène, and that's why we enlarged the focus of our research to include all the technologies, and this brought us also to other types of shows. Yesterday, Sabine and Frank talked about éphémérie. So we went to many years also kind of scientific shows and things like that happened at the same time, including magic shows, which developed exactly in the end of the 19th century. And so we decided to take to enlarge and to take as a model and archetype the magic shows. And that's why we call the next step was called les arts trompeurs, so detective arts, deceptive arts, deceptive arts, magic, machine magic media. And it's just the end of this project now, and we're working at noon. We're working on the next one. So I'm finished, but I think it was worth making this short history of the project.
Okay. Great. So what did we do with those magnificent archives? We did all kinds of cross-angle studies, each of us coming from a specific point of view. Obviously, I came at it from the music side. Jean-Marc had a look at the mise en scène and all the details of that. My colleague, Pascal Alexandre, with whom we published this book, she looked at it from the point of view of popular shows, which is not high-level theater, but much more broad public point of view. We also could publish in this series the thesis of Mrs. Pélisson-Caro, who did a whole thesis on those archives exactly. So one of the interesting features of all that is that the catalog is completely online. You can right away, and it's free of access. You can go and have a look at what those different documents are and how you could read them. And since we were at the beginning of this cataloging process, we could decide on the keywords. It's a small thing, but it's actually a very powerful tool, because since we could decide on the keywords, we put topics that were interesting to us and to research in general. So it's a very efficient tool. Once you put your nose in there, you can derive all kinds of interesting things. And for this reason, we had a great financing from my own university. It's very rare, but we earned 125,000 euros of grants to do this research, and mostly paid the salaries of the PhD students doing the cataloging. But it's a big effort for humanities and in a small suburb of university like ours. What else can I say? The three main books, and today's book is the last of the series. I'll give a slightly different angle to have the main features of the archives brought out. You should read those three books as a whole, really. In a way, my own papers, it's the same paper in three parts. And I'm more or less consistent from my colleagues. In this case, you'll find, after the usual introduction and all that, very nice cover. You'll find the theater, the different papers grouped according to affinity, but not according to discipline, which is way much more interesting. There are some internal resonances between the different texts, but not separated. The text on music, the text on theater, the text on cinema. It's really, we try to do a intermediate way of presentation. The other interesting feature, this is the third book, and this one is published here in Montreal, which is Harry from Montreal. And also it's a very interesting sign. I'm from Quebec, but I work in Paris. Jean-Marc has French origin, but he works here. And we could notice in our little field that this is the coming of age of the scientific relationship between France and Quebec. And it's a completely normalized situation now with researchers moving both ways. So for Quebec, this year it's a big anniversary for Montreal. And it's a nice sign for us. I hope we're sensitive to that. Well, that's it. That's enough. Please enjoy the book.
bien, pour ma part, je vais poursuivre en français. Ça ne vous dérange pas, Martin pourra éventuellement traduire si nécessaire. Je vais parler de la dimension sonore, puisque je travaille essentiellement sur cela. Et un travail important a été mené, cette dimension sonore, par le fond de la BHVP qui a été évoqué tout à l'heure, autour du disque, des questionnements de figures clés comme Raymond Rouleau, le metteur en scène, du répertoire musical. Le fonds de l'association de la régie théâtrale demeure encore aujourd'hui un fonds précieux pour les recherches actuelles. Un travail sur le fonds Mercure m'a permis la redécouverte de mises en scène remarquables qui avaient été oubliées, dont celle de Volodino et de la Piccola, dont je parlerai d'ailleurs demain, qui a été créée en 60, qui est l'élément clé d'une publication d'ailleurs qui sera aux éditions L'Harmattan en fin 2017, dans le cadre d'un colloque que j'avais fait à Paris 8, qui s'appelait Vers le présent de la dramaturgie musicale à travers l'idée d'espace sensible. En outre, une autre étude concernant ce fonds d'affiches, il y a un fonds extrêmement important d'affiches de l'association Régie théâtrale, qui a été la source d'une autre communication à Lucca en octobre 2015, que j'ai intitulée De l'affiche à l'artiste, figure, répertoire et performance musicale dans le musical, publié chez Repolz fin 2017, qui est sous la direction de Michela Nicolai, Claire Roden et Roberto Iliano, où un répertoire d'affiches de musiciens, entre autres, et des petits formats musicaux conservés dans ce fonds, qui a été débuté à la bibliothèque historique de la ville de Paris et qui est poursuivi à l'heure actuelle. D'autres projets sont encore à venir. Je travaille actuellement avec Daniel Mathieu-Bouillon, qui est c'est très important, qui est la présidente de l'association de la régie théâtrale, qui nous a ouvert énormément de possibilités de travail, que je tiens évidemment ici tout particulièrement à saluer et à remercier. Et je pense également à Bérangère de Lépine, qui a été extrêmement présente également pour l'accès aux documents, qui est extrêmement aisé en fait de la bibliothèque historique de la ville de Paris. J'aimerais enfin rappeler finalement pour tous qu'il y a une profusion incroyable de documents qui sont laissés à notre disposition et qui ne peut qu'attiser de futures recherches. Je vais citer finalement quelques exemples seulement, c'est-à-dire les relevés de mise en scène lyrique et dramatique. On en compte entre 7000 et 9000 qui sont actuellement conservés, qui couvrent la période de 1850 à 1950. On peut également penser aux photographies de scène. Il y en a entre 25 et 30 000 qui sont actuellement conservées du XXe siècle à aujourd'hui. On peut ajouter 33 mètres linéaires de dossiers, de coupures de presse, 10 mètres linéaires de dossiers documentaires par personnalité, environ 3000 lettres autographes, de la musique imprimée bien sûr, 11 boîtes de chansons des 19e et 20e siècles principalement. Et il faut savoir une chose que j'ai pu apprendre assez récemment, toutes ces séries sont complétées en outre par une centaine de fonds d'archives issus de personnes physiques ou morales, des théâtres, des directeurs de théâtre également, directeurs de tournée, metteurs en scène, ou encore artistes lyriques, qui représentent un ensemble de documents au moins aussi important que la première bibliothèque des régisseurs, et qui couvre évidemment de la même manière le dernier tiers du XIXe siècle à aujourd'hui. Donc une multitude de possibilités encore de travail et d'exploitation pour nos futures recherches. Merci.
To summarize, those archives are very multi-content. You have posters, you have the text of the plays, you have the photographs of the actors, of the sets. You even have maps of the sets with little needles and to put the characters in. It's very, and one of the very striking things is you can actually go and touch those groups and those texts. It's incredible. And for that, we had a big help from the main conservator of this archive, Bérangère de Lépine, in the HVP, and also it's very precious of Daniel Bouillon Mathieu and her late husband, Serge Bouillon. They were the soul of this association, and they helped us tremendously, and they opened all kinds of doors so that we actually could go and do in-depth research. And knowing the situation of the archives in France, to go and have a first-hand touch on those documents was incredible. And it's still open to you all if you have a research project. If you want to know anything about what happened on stage in Paris between 1850 and 1950, that's the place to go. And on tour. Even the place came here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. In my little part, I did a study on how the art of sound, Foley and noises on stage prepared the way to electroacoustic music, and I showed you many very different things. I hope you enjoy my paper. Okay, it's enough for that. The book is here. You can buy it for $20.